Hey everybody, it's Ryan from Pi Records, and I'm here with Adrian from Fascinating Creatures of the Deep. How are you?
I'm great, Ryan. Thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate it.
I uh I'm a fan now that I've listened to your music, and I wonder why I haven't heard of you sooner. Um you've you're quite traveled in your musical career. You guys started like 2009, is that correct?
Yep, absolutely. 2009. The story was that I've been in and around the surf music scene since the mid '80s because this friend of mine, Stretch, and these other guys, Randy Hyden and Joe Kelly and Frank Novicki and guys like that, they had that I had known mainly through connections through the punk scene. They had a surf band called the Shockwaves in San Jose, and my buddies and I would go see those guys just because surf was like, wow, that's cool. It's cool. It's different. And so I did that, and then in the early '90s, I was the booking agent for a band that wasn't really surf. It was like surf fish, but more like kind of spy, called the Ultras from San Francisco. They were fantastic. Anyone who's heard them knows that. So I got a lot of exposure kind of during that time when a lot of bands were being born into surf. Um, and then Stretch called me up in 2009 one day because I always see him around town in Santa Cruz. He's like, "Hey, dude, uh, if you're gonna go only see one live show this year, you got to come out and see this band called Slack Tone." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Dude, okay, you've never led me wrong. Again, I've known him all these years, bought tons of music from him at Streetlight Records. I mean, etc." So I'm like, "Dude, I'm there. I'm 100% there." So I went there. I saw his band open, the Concaves. They were cool. Then Slacktone took the stage, and I was just completely freaking stunned. I didn't even know what to say after seeing that band. All I knew was that I said that is what I want to do with what I'm doing. I know I'll never be in that league, but it doesn't matter because I know now the path that I want to go on for the rest of what I'm going to do musically. And that was it. That's how it all started in 2009. And here we are all these years later. Seems like surf bands just stay together forever, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. I used to live in Salinas, and I used to come up to Santa Cruz all the time. And you mentioned Streetlight Records. I can't say enough about how great that record shop is.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so you can find anything there. And I was wondering also if you heard of the Del Novas from there.
I have. Yeah.
They're amazing too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I just met Dell, the other night. I hadn't met him in person, and he came to see our show. We had a show with ourselves and the Insect Surfers
Wow.
and the Dead Campers, another Santa Cruz band that's coming up. And we played out at the Crepe Place, and he came down for it, and he was super stoked. He hadn't seen us before. And I asked him about that. I'm like, "Hey, man, what, like, are you guys from Santa Cruz or what?" There was a time when they were kind of being, their name was around town, but then not. And so it turns out that I guess he said his grandma, I think it is, lives in Santa Cruz. And so he was living there, but eventually he moved. And I believe that the band is now based out of Sonoma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, they're playing out and around again, which is good to see. Lots of surf bands coming out of hibernation, from
Yeah.
this pandemic thing, and then some not yet, but hopefully we'll see more of them soon.
How did the show go with the Insect Surfers? I heard about that show.
It was slamming, man. It was slamming. It was a great crowd, big crowd. What was really cool about it was it appeared that all the bands brought like a good solid contingent of people. And when it was all put together, it was a packed room. And I thought all the bands played really well, which is nice. I'm probably my own world's worst critic. And I felt like we played well. And then the Dead Campers were great. They're super entertaining, just fun band. They got a saxophone and stuff, and they do some cool stuff. And then the Insect Surfers, I mean, what can you say? Even with a substitute bass player, you know, um, they are just so unique and freaking cool, and just great people and great entertainers. I mean, Dave, I hope that you've had the chance to interview Dave. I don't know if you have, but if you've not, you got to do that.
Not
Um,
not yet, but I was at SG 101 convention this year, and he was dancing at every show.
that's right. That's
Yeah,
right. He's the coolest dude. He's probably the coolest dude in the whole surf scene, to be honest. I mean, he is just, I don't know. I absolutely adore that guy, and not just me. Everyone adores that guy. He's just the coolest.
yeah, totally, totally. So from 2009 to I'm guessing that the pandemic lockdown, you guys were pretty active.
Well, unfortunately, so here's what happened. In 2018, we did a bunch of stuff. We played in Italy at Surfer Joe. Of course, we can never stop thanking Lorenzo enough for that opportunity. And then we played also that year at Surf Guitar 101, and obviously a huge thanks to the Big Tiki Dude for that opportunity. Um, and at the end of that, we were kind of convinced that what we needed to do was record a record, write a whole new record's worth of material and record it. So there we basically shut down the live show thing, went into the studio. I built out a recording studio basically in our little basement rehearsal studio and started writing music. And I decided this time to really try to compose these songs myself, like write all the parts, you know, except for drums really, but like really try to interlace everything and have it be what I was hearing in my head, which is a scary thought if you really want to know. But anyway, so we sort of succeeded at that. There was a single that was yielded out of that, a digital only, called L'Acqua de Luca, that was released on Spotify. If I had it to do all over again, I might change a couple of things in that production, but overall, I'm happy with how it came out. And Jim Bakke from the Tikiaki 5-0 and Tikiaki Orchestra guested on organ on that track, which was awesome.
Awesome.
So long story short, you know, I had composed probably 7 songs or so. I had another 2 that were ready. And suddenly I began to feel the weight of this project, the composition of all the parts, the recording. I was doing all the engineering, all the recording, then the mixing and mastering. I was doing everything. And suddenly the band didn't feel like my hobby anymore. It felt like a job. And I dang near quit. I was really close to stopping, just stopping. And luckily, mainly Lex, our drummer, kind of talked me out of it, because, you know, he was just like, dude, you know, we really should continue to do this. It's awesome. People love it. And, you know, I have fun. All the guys are having fun. Basically just made the case that like we should go on. And so suddenly shows, you know, then of course the freaking pandemic, which shut everybody down for whatever 2 years. So we had some shows in 21 that got canceled. Then 2022 came around and some stuff came into being, and I just said, all right, screw it, let's do it, you know. And so we did, and we haven't looked back. We've enjoyed the hell out of these shows.
Awesome. So do you have a definitive title and plans to put the record out?
I regret to say no. I think that you know, I went back and looked at the material I was writing, and I really dug it, but I wasn't in a position to where I felt like, okay, yeah, this is what I want to do. I had a title, you know, that I thought was going to be good. And then it turned out that it was kind of close to a movie title that came out like not that long before it. And I was just like, ah, shit, you know. So I basically, right now I'm feeling like we're going to do something, probably in between now and next summer. And it'll probably end up being some kind of a single or an EP. And we'll get something out, you know, I'm almost certain of it, but the how and the what and all that,
Yeah.
is kind of TBD, man. I wish I had better info for you, Ryan.
Well, I know people such as you and I, of our age, we're similar in age, love vinyl. Is that your ultimate goal?
Well, I hate to say it because it's not cool to say it, but I would say it's not my ultimate goal. I love vinyl. I was a professional DJ for 30 years. I got like a gazillion, records, but I've never been totally tied to what a physical medium is about. I'm all about the music. I could hardly care less what it's being played off of, as long as the music grabs me. So yeah, I would love to do a record, but I would be just as happy to do a CD. A little less thrilled to do digital only, but
Yeah.
costs being what they are, it can be tough. I mean, I think it would be nice for our band to maybe affiliate with a record label at some point. I
Yeah.
mean, I've been in bands before that have done that, and it's been cool. So I think maybe this time, if we record some good stuff, and I might try to, solicit more than just one label.
Yeah. Yeah.
and and say, hey, is anyone interested in putting this out? And maybe that'll be a good way to get physical product into the market.
I guarantee you somebody will be interested in that.
That's, dude, I love the confidence, and I appreciate it more than you know.
So let's talk about the music a little bit. It's very you have your own twist, as in like your leads are super fast, but it's very much reminiscent of the traditional sound. Would you say that?
Yeah, it's Ryan, I gotta tell you, I really like when you say these things. I almost get like a physical reaction, because when you're an artist, which I'd like to consider myself to be, you're trying to communicate what's in your soul to another person who is taking in that art. And this bit about the traditional versus the modern and all that, I mean, it's hard for me as an artist to account for what comes out of my hands and my mind.
Right.
But I certainly, yes, like it's undeniable that some of our stuff definitely points traditional in terms of the overall attack of it, right? And some of the spirit of it. I mean, I would say that, I'm not trying to create dance music. And I'm not trying to create like party music. Not to say that I don't want people to have fun. I would love for people to have fun. But what I'm trying to create is a feeling when I'm composing something. And I would say that most of what I'm trying to create is the feeling of the ocean. Okay,
Yeah.
I live next to the ocean, and my whole life is tied to my family. From time immemorial has lived by the sea, and that's what I'm trying to channel, is the feeling of being in the ocean, through our music. And I think surf music is the closest thing to that. And so, I take all my other influences in musical history, that come from other things I've done, and I try to channel it through that oceanic kind of mindset, and that's what comes out.
Awesome. It's really fun to watch the way you, like, from your YouTube channel, which I encourage everybody to check out. The way you interact with your bandmates on stage is very much rock oriented. Like, you see like just the energy, like you guys like love each other, and it really shows on stage.
That's totally cool, man. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's been very weird with the face masks during pandemic. I feel like the
Yeah.
connection. In fact, I'll make a couple of comments on that. Like the face masking during the pandemic does take away a little bit of what an audience is able to see us doing. But I mean, all of the guys in our band played in other bands beforehand that came from doing, alternative rock or punk or goth or whatever else. And so, yeah, whatever trappings came from those genres kind of followed our personae into this band. But one of the things that's really interesting, I feel anyway, and something we consciously have done this year. So as I told you, I was a professional DJ for many, many years. And as a DJ, like, my big thing was programming and engineering music, right? So
Yeah.
picking what songs, putting them in order, and then making the transitions in between them.
Yeah,
That
my dad did that.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah,
That's really cool. So, basically I have this mindset of like how a set of music should go. And this year I told the guys in the band that I wanted to stop talking during the set, and instead we would play our set as a programmed set of music from start to finish with no pauses and no talking, no stops, no nothing, and everything would be segued in some way. And it was a risk, because we had done a lot of crowd interaction before, talking to the crowd, acknowledging them, thanking them for being there. And now what we're doing is at the very beginning, we're telling everyone all that, thanks for coming. And now just basically like buckle in, hang on, and we're going to see you again in 45 minutes. And in the meantime, just enjoy the journey. And it has been totally transformative, man. In terms of just, I think people are still getting used to it, and they have uniformly said they absolutely love it, but they can't necessarily identify why until I tell them.
yeah,
Like, this
yeah,
is what has happened, and this song's key, and changing that ending so that it resolves to this, and they're just like, wow, yeah, that's okay, and they get it, and it's kind of
yeah.
been a trip,
That's an
so that's
excellent.
interactive in a different way.
That's an excellent way of putting things. Excuse me, because I was a DJ for quite a while,
Uh-huh.
and I totally get it. I totally get, because I had to mix between the songs and choose the songs to play, like you said. And so it's a brilliant way to put together a set, because I've never heard anybody say that before.
Well, thanks. I mean, like I say, it's a trip. I was a hard sell when I was selling it to the band. They were unsure about it. And I swear to God, we did it the first time. They're like, whoa. And then after we did it, like the second time, they're like, we're never doing it a different way again. This is
Yeah,
our thing. This is what we're gonna do. And I'm like, well, what if we wanted to do something different? They're like, nope, nope, this is it.
yeah,
This is our thing. I'm like, okay, okay. So yeah, it's cool. I mean, the only thing that would get a little crazy is if, like for instance, now I'm changing strings before every show,
yeah,
because I mean, you just can't really risk breaking a string. And then tuning is the other thing. Like, you got to change your strings, like maybe a rehearsal or two before the show, because those strings have to be broken in enough to stay in tune for the most part anyway during that set, because you don't really have time to stop and tune.
yeah, yeah. And you gotta have a backup guitar, because you don't want to be standing on stage
Yep.
waiting for the guy to tune, right?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, backup guitar is critical. Right now, it's funny. I've played Strats, I've played Jaguars, and now I have a Jazzmaster, this like early '90s made in Japan Jazzmaster that I absolutely love. And Lorenzo loves to tease me about it. He's like, "You finally arrive at the Jazzmaster."
Yeah, yeah,
I'm like, I know, I should have listened to you from the beginning, like normal. But anyway, I love that guitar, but the problem is I only have one. And
uh,
so I come with a backup Strat, which is it's a great Japanese. Again, I love the early '90s Japanese guitars. To me, are the best thing besides original Fenders. To me, again, those early '90s Japanese ones, whatever they are, it's out of those factories. But so I have this early '90s Fernandez Strat that just is fabulous. But if you're taking off a Jazzmaster in the middle of a set and throwing on a Strat, it's like my brain doesn't handle resets like that very well.
yeah, yeah. I totally get it.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna have to like break down. I gotta sell my Jaguar, I think, or one of my Strats, and pick up another Jazzmaster to be the backup.
Awesome, awesome. Yes, I've heard on many occasions Lorenzo talking about the Jazzmaster.
Well, because he's spoken about it on many
Yeah,
occasions.
he's constantly ribbing people about it.
Oh yeah, yeah, especially Yvonne, because Yvonne is like the Strat guy.
Yeah, 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 totally.
You know, it's awesome.
Um, he's been posting videos lately. I don't know if you saw them with him and a couple of guys. They're really good, right?
Yeah, the Madeira's videos,
Yeah,
Yvonne's
yeah,
videos. Oh, dude, I mean, you're talking about a world class. I mean, he's in the top few surf guitar players in the world, in my opinion. And yeah, I mean, his stuff is just fantastic no matter what he does. He's got you know, the Madeira Space Cossacks. We played with them when we were in Italy, and they were fantastic, of course. And then what I really love watching is when he and his dad get together in their backyard and they do a bunch of Shadows covers.
Yeah.
And his dad is just awesome, you know, like they just have the best time. So yeah, Yvon, I'm a huge fan of Yvon and everything he does. And the other thing that's really cool is a guy like him who, with that kind of skill level, at being as nice a guy as he is and approachable as he is and generous as he is with his you know, insight and such. I mean, just that's one of the best things about the surf scene, man, is it's so small. And if you're in it, you know, everyone for the most part's friendly, unless you start in with, you know, pontificating on this or that, or, you know, thinking that it's surf rock.
Yeah.
That'll get you kicked out.
Yeah, I don't, to be honest, a lot of people are saying that these days, but I never heard it called surf rock until recently. It wasn't even surf music, it was just surf.
Yes, that's correct. A lot of people just called it surf. That is absolutely right. You know, but surf music, you know, I think is a, you know, that's what I call it, you know, when I tell people I do, because most people are like, oh, you're in a band, what do you do? And I'm like, well, how do I explain this?
I know, right?
I usually end up just kind of going, have you ever heard Dick Dale, you know, Miserlou? It's sort of like that, but a modern version, you know?
So, well, is there anything you want to talk about, mention that I haven't asked about before we go off?
Not really. I mean, I guess it would be fun to plug a show we're playing tomorrow night, but by the time people see this, we'll probably have already played it.
Yeah.
But we're playing with the Boston Martians tomorrow night, and the Tremolo Beer Gut, both bands that we just absolutely love.
Wow.
Speaking of another world-class top shelf surf guitarist, I mean, Evan is just crazy. It's just amazing, and probably the most entertaining of them to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, he, you know, between him and Dave from the Insect Surfers, from the entertainment factor alone, just watching these guys mugging and having fun up there and relaxed as relaxed can be. I'm green with envy because I can't be that relaxed up there. But yeah, that's about it. I don't know what else. I mean, there are some rumblings about some really crazy, awesome things happening this next summer. So stay tuned in the surf world, and you might, you know, see that maybe we'll be part of some of the major goings on this coming year.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent. Thank you so much, Adrian, for being on the show. Like I said, it's been overdue that I've heard your music, and you know, now you have a new fan.
Ryan, I'm flattered, and dude, more power to you. I think what you're doing here is so fantastic for the scene, you know, having a documentarian, so to speak. This stuff's going to be archived, and people will know, you know, in the future, who was around and doing stuff back in the old days, i.e. 2022.
Yeah, right.
You know? Yeah, man. Wishing you success, buddy. Thanks again.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Have a good one.